Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we had another Raw here. I was gonna say wonderful Raw, but I guess we'll get into it. But it was from the 21st of July. Honestly, Raw in general, I think, is always a pretty decent show. It's one of those things where it's the most well rounded of the two main roster shows, and I feel like sometimes I think what lacks in it is the wrestling side of things, and sometimes it's just the story that you're really in there for. I do feel like it was kind of the opposite on this one. I feel like some of these wrestling matches were way better than what we normally get on the Raw, which is good. I mean, that's a really good thing. But then the segments were kind of few and far between that really mattered, I guess is the best way of saying it. So we start off with CM Punk and Gunther. Honestly, this feud is, heating up pretty nicely. It's one of those things where it's like it doesn't need much. They obviously have, like the ability to be able to the promo against each other. I think the match itself isn't going to be the greatest thing of all time. It's kind of crazy that CM Punk's having two title matches within, like a 3 month period, which is, good for him. I just feel like um, it's all downhill from there after that because it's like, what do you do with CM Punk after this? So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that bad of a match, but I don't really see him winning. This promo was pretty decent. It just kind of led into them talking about having some similarities of not having friends and just there doing, championship and stuff. And I like it. I think it's a decent rivalry. I think it's going to be a decent SummerSlam match. And I think out of that gauntlet match, I think it was the best choice. So I'm cool with this. So I'll put it up an A. I feel like the best thing would have been CM Punk winning it for Rollins to cash in on him, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with this match. Next up, we had our first match of the night, Sheamus versus Rusev. This is one of those matches that I wasn't really excited for. I wasn't like opposed to it either. I think it's just big men slapping meat type of match, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's not really my favorite style. It's just kind of like I don't really even know what you'd call it. Just like powerhouse wrestling, I think is probably the best. I have it like in terms of like TEW, where like different wrestlers have different like like subgenres and stuff. So powerhouse wrestling seems like to be the best. Sheamus almost had a nasty spill, but he caught himself and went back and redid the spot. I thought that's a good veteran move, and it made it not look like as much of a botch as just like, well, he didn't quite get it, so it's not as bad as really screwing something up there. So I'm glad to see that. I thought it was a pretty solid match. I'm gonna put it up an A. I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with it. I think it served its purpose, and probably might be the last time that they face each other. I highly doubt it. I think Rusev will attack him, and then it will set up another match to have the best of three series that they've had. But that is the first time Sheamus has pinned Rusev in a singles action, so I thought that was pretty interesting to have there. Next up, we had a small little backstage segment with Stephanie Vercour talking and Naomi saying that, obviously, where she's got next. I think the segment itself wasn't great. I don't know if I'm not a big fan of what they're doing with Naomi with like her segments in the back, just kind of shitting on other people for not like in a heel way, just as a shitty person type thing. I don't really know why they're doing that. They don't need to be doing that, so it's just kind of dumb. I am excited to see this match at Clash of Paris, which is probably what we're gonna get. So I'm liking it, but they're also not really playing their cards, too close to their vest. They're trying to make sure that Stephanie talks to everybody. She talks to Io later and has a match with her later in the show. So it all led from this moment. I'll put it up an A. I thought it was pretty solid. Again, take it or leave it because I think just the way that Naomi was talking to her was kind of stupid. That they should have just got rid of that and just had a completely different thing. Naomi can be a heel without having to be messed up too. So I think that part was kind of stupid. Next up, we had our number one contender triple threat match for the tag team titles. Now, honestly, this is what I was expecting from the Raw tag division. They have good tag teams. I mean, you could have thrown the Viking Raiders in here, and it still would have been even better. Like, that's the thing that's crazy. Obviously, the New Day out of the three probably looked the worst, but they're all older, and they were also playing like the heel style of things, so they're just more trying to be snively and do dirty things and stuff. But man, LWO absolutely cooked, and that double suplex by Julius Creed was insane. So I kind of wrestled where I'd want to put this match, but I think after seeing the entire card, and it's the thing I remember this match the most, I think it's comfortably an S tier match. I definitely had some spots that they could have definitely tightened up a little bit, and like I said, I feel like an LWO versus American Made match might be the call to do if they just let them wrestle. with the New Day, it didn't really add much to the wrestling match, but they didn't take away. I guess is the best way of saying it. Next up, we had Becky come down and call out Lyra, talking, just basically, this is your last shot of getting this title. You're never going to be able to challenge me again, kind of similar to what the speculations were last time. But Lyra wants it a no DQ and all that type of stuff. I don't think it really helps Lyra out necessarily when you're facing a heel like to do this. It's the same thing with Cody. You're just kind of setting it up that you're probably going to get screwed up by somebody else. I guess it's fine. I mean, I feel like there could be some other stuff. We could definitely see Lyra turn heel, which I would be absolutely on board to see what that's going to be. So there's a lot that could come from this. So I don't think it's really that bad. I put the segment up in S. I thought it was, good back and forth. They've had it. I'm on board. I got tickets. I want this match all the time. So I'm happy with seeing exactly where it's coming from. But again, that kind of throws it up too that there might be no more of these matches in the future, which makes sense. This is their third one, so a trilogy is kind of the best way of putting it. Most of these. But then in a complete random thing, it's Bayley and Lyra for the tag team titles against the tag team champs. I don't know why they were doing this. I mean, I know it's supposed to set up probably a later storyline for a lot of other different stuff. I need to move this around. It just is kind of insane that they did it this way. The match itself, I thought, was really good. I thought both teams looked really good. I feel Lyra and Bayley looked really good out there going against them, and it was kind of like how this match last week with the Kabuki Warriors should have been a tag team championship thing. I feel like it's so stupid when you're investing in like the SummerSlam stuff that we know there was no way that they were going to win, and that kind of screws it up. I don't know why they necessarily did this here. I feel like this could have been a thing that you'd done after SummerSlam, but maybe there's something that leads it into SummerSlam. So, other than that, I think the match itself was pretty technically sound. Everything looked good in it. I'm not a big fan of Raquel out of everybody. The other three I thought did phenomenal. Raquel just, she's kind of like that powerhouse, but she definitely struggles sometimes to keep up with the other ones. So kind of was noticeable. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid match. I'll put it up in A tier. Next up, we had, because Dirty Dom was down there, he kind of got a boot to the face, and they called medical down there, and then AJ Styles trolled him again. Then eventually we got to the back where they tested Dirty Dom to make sure that he's eligible, and they set the match for SummerSlam. I think it's cool. I don't know if AJ Styles is actually going to win it, but I am excited because it does feel like there's a chance that he could win it. So, and it definitely could be a one match here and then another match, like a secondary match. So I'm cool with having this little thing play out and see what happens. This could be a nice little summer's rivalry that we've had already for the last couple of months, because it was supposed to be was that Money in the Bank? I can't remember what PLE was supposed to be at, but it got delayed and delayed and delayed. So yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Then we had Sammy versus Karrion Kross. So glad to see Karrion Kross actually on TV. Yeah, it was great. The crowd was behind Karrion Kross. I kind of felt bad for Sammy because he kept like, I need everybody to help me and do this, and everybody's like, nah, get bent. We want we want Karrion Kross. So that always makes it kind of rough. But I think Karrion Kross looked good out there. Sammy did pretty good. Obviously, playing off the injury thing. I put it in a solid B. I definitely think it could have been a lot better, but I think for the match itself, I thought it was good. I think it should just been earlier in the card. I think would have been the better call there. Then we had Io Sky versus Stephanie Vercour, which obviously is a great dream match. Unfortunately, we knew that there was going to be some type of interference at the end. They were absolutely cooking. That match was very close to an S tier match, but then got interrupted at the very end by the Secret Herbis and then Chelsea Green, and then Io had to be saved by Rhea, and so they had a little bit of everything there, which is kind of cool. I'm hoping maybe next week we'll have a 6-woman tag match there. I could also possibly see that we might have something set up for SummerSlam of being like maybe Stephanie Vercour and Nikki Bella versus the Secret Herbis. I mean, they kind of should have maybe played that again so it would work out, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I definitely hope that Stephanie does get a match. This match cooked, though. I thought it was really close to an S tier match. I think it just needed that definitive ending. I hate when they kind of have they won't pull the trigger. Obviously, neither of them could have afforded the L, but still, they should have done something. Next up was the main event. It was Roman Reigns coming back to talk to Paul Heyman. Obviously, Paul Heyman and the crew was already down in the ring, so Roman Reigns came down. I thought he cut a pretty good promo. Cut against Braun Breaker pretty well. I mean, it was I kind of hate it because sometimes like Roman's promos are just kind of like just to shit on the other person and not to really to address anything the person said. It's just like with the whole like is this mic on and all that kind of crap. I mean, it's good, but like also kind of really deflates his opponent. I definitely think they're gonna set this up as him and Jay versus these Bronson and Braun Breaker because obviously they did brawl. Roman had the upper hand originally, and then eventually gets kind of stomped out, and then Jay had to come and make the save. I think it's cool. I mean, I'm kind of cool with seeing this. I mean, this definitely could lead into a decent War Games match too, coming up. So there's a lot of different threads. This is the thing is Roman Reigns is always going to be a weird wrestler to me because the majority of the time that I've watched wrestling, Roman Reigns has barely shown up, and I think he's a great character worker and a pretty solid wrestler. But if you're not going to show up, I can't really get behind any type of push you're going to get because you're just taking a spot from somebody else. Obviously, I think most of this is a pivot because of the Seth Rollins injury, but overall, the segment was an S. I put the show in a solid A. I thought it wasn't too bad. It definitely felt like one of those shows that like it was good, but if you missed it, you didn't miss much because a lot of the stuff was just rehashing and setting up stuff for SummerSlam that they've already had wheels going for. So hopefully we get a little bit more. I'm going to be waiting on my SummerSlam prediction video until next week because I really have a feeling we're going to get at least 1 to 2 more matches, maybe 3. So I'm trying to hold out and try to do some different stuff. But next week's Raw should be pretty stacked. I think at least we'll get what is it, Judgment Day versus LWO. I think that's going to be set for then. They didn't. I don't think officially said it, and if they did, I missed it. So hopefully we get some other crazy matches going into that week of SummerSlam. Like that 6-woman tag match would be pretty awesome. They could also possibly do something with Naomi being part of that if they wanted to do like a 8-man feud and add Nikki Bella. I mean, they could do a lot of different stuff, so I guess we'll see what happens. But until next time, it's been Japan. If you guys like these reviews, I do Raw, NXT, Evolve, and SmackDown, which is the majority of the content for the week. And then most of the time right now, I've been doing 2 videos a day just because there's so much other stuff to cover, and I want to make sure we get it. And check out, I got some TNA videos over the weekend, and I'm doing some Stardom and other stuff coming out this week too, so there'll be a little bit of different things for different wrestling promotions. So if you like that, hopefully you guys enjoy. Until next time, this has been Japan. Bye guys.